Hi guys, good morning and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Mandy and you can find me on the internet as Mandy Von Knits. You can find me there on Instagram or Ravelry. I am a 40-year-old woman. I live here in southeastern Michigan. I live here with my husband and my two kiddos. And I am a crocheter and a knitter, and I love to do both. I love to talk about yarn and patterns, and I also love to machine knit, which I have been dabbling into lately to kind of dwindle down some of my yarn that I didn't have another use for. So I have been working through making some different hats for kiddos, for charity, and just stuff like that. So I have some of that to show you. Today I have some crochet to show you and color work. I have been planning a colorwork sweater, and look, I made kind of a chart here, and I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. So first things first, let's start with admin. Now on this podcast, I give away a digital prize pattern every episode. So the way that you enter is you just leave a comment down below and come back next week, and I will go to the random comment picker and put in the link to the URL for the video, and it will pick a person, basically. So nothing else is to it. There are only two rules. The first rule is the pattern price has to be 15 USD or under, and the second rule is that you can only win once a month, and that's just in there to make sure that the same person isn't constantly winning. So I am going to leave a blank spot right here. And if that was you, please reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry as Mandy Von Knits. Let me know your Ravelry username if you want me to send your pattern there. And let me know what pattern that you want, and I will go ahead and gift it to you. If you don't use Ravelry, let me know that too, so that we can come up with a different way for you to get your pattern. I know that there are other payment platforms. I think PayHip is one of them. So we'll figure something out. Just let me know. Okay, with all of the admin stuff out of the way, let's get started. So I am going to show you two machine knit hats I made. And I'm only showing you two because I only used two colorways this week. And I basically don't want to keep showing you the same hat in the same colorway. So this one, and I love this, right? This is a Herrschners Herrschners Worsted 8 Holiday Sparkle. And I think that this is so pretty. Now, this was made with an Addie King. There's nothing really special to it. You just knit a tube and put it inside of itself and finish it off like that. Now, you could pick it up with needles and do some decreases as well. I don't know that I would be, well, no, I might, well, let me qualify that. I know I could match the gauge, but there's no way my gauge would look that nice, right? It's a machine, so they, yeah, it wouldn't happen that way. But I have picked them up from the Addie and hand decreased them by hand. Now this is the other one, and this is also Holiday Sparkle. I made this one a little bit smaller. Look at how the yarn pulls up. And when I say smaller, I mean lengthwise. So this would be for a little kiddo. Maybe like a toddler. I turned it inside out, so that's why it looks a little bit different. These are just their holiday yarn. Their holiday yarn colorways, the sparkle one. And if you guys know anything, you know that I love self-striping yarn. I love holiday yarn, and I love glitter. So all three of those things together kind of coerced me into ordering them. But I will say this about the Worsted 8. The Worsted 8 by itself, without the glitter, seems to work up pretty well on the machines. I have some of the neon lights from Herrschners, which is basically worsted, very bright neon striping hat. Well, it's not even striping. It's more like variegated. So I've worked that up, and those work up, I believe, the best out of all of their worsted yarns. I have some trouble with the glitter on the worsted 8 yarns. I think it makes it just a little bit thicker, and I think that it catches a little bit more. There's a lot more stitches I have to pick up with the crochet hook, or it will not snag. It won't form a stitch correct. So there's a little bit of manual work that needs to be done to make these hats. I wouldn't consider this an easy hat to knit up with these machines. Now, if you watched last week, I used Premier Color Fusion DK. Now that I would consider an easy yarn to knit up with the knitting machine. And I've worked up so many of the worsted 8 with sparkle that I am confident in saying this. And the Color Fusion. It seems like it's a lot easier to knit up that DK than it is to knit up these. But anyways, that's it for the machine knitting this week. I am first going to show you my crochet because I haven't done very much on this. And I'm going to put up a picture of what I'm making. This is called the Breton, and I am using Barocco Modern Linen. And this is how this is how I'm dealing with it right now. You'll notice that these cakes just do not like staying all nice and neat and pretty. So I have been kind of just tucking it in a little bit, and that has to happen every time I grab it out because it's just gonna pop right out as soon as I put it back in. But this is the modern linen that I am using from Barocco. This is called Hot Gossip, I believe, and I love the color. It's pink, and this is what I've done like this week, which is just this little itty bitty part. And I'm going to talk about why I kind of, where is it? Oh, I'm holding it upside down. See, that's how small I've done, how much I've worked right here, just this little bit. And I'm going to talk about why I've only worked this much. So right now we're separating 4 sleeves. And the thing that I've always had problems with crochet is whenever you have a direction where it will say something like half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet 7 times, and then do a slip stitch, a single crochet, 2 double crochets 4 times, and then do this other group of stitches 3 times, and then repeat the whole thing like 14 times. My brain has a lot of problems with those instructions. So the Breton, and especially I wouldn't say that the body down here, once you got the hang of it, you didn't need the instructions. And I'm hoping that the sleeves are the same way, but the problem is I need a lot of concentration to work out these sleeve instructions. So this is how far I've gotten, and then something distracted me, so I put it away. I am hoping that on Monday, because this is the end, we're at the end of August, guys. This is the end of August, and we have a holiday weekend here in the States. So that means we have Monday off, and I am hoping that on Monday I can sit down with this and work out the sleeves, get the sleeves all split, and then just basically work the neck. I feel like once I have the sleeves split and I'm working up the neck, it will be a little bit easier to manage. I'm hopeful. Have you guys ever struggled with crochet instructions like that? I have noticed that, well, see, I guess the problem is with knitting, I haven't done a lot of lace. Are lace instructions like that for knitting, you guys? I have noticed it a lot in crochet, But like I said, I don't do a lot of lace knitting. So maybe I'm just not exposed to it as much. But it would be interesting to hear what you guys think. I know that I have problems with that. That is why I use whenever the directions for knitting get to be too much, I use stitch markers to break them out. The problem with crochet is that where am I gonna put, I'm gonna have to move the stitch markers each row. And I can do that, but I just don't want to. So that is what I am probably going to do on Monday. I will take out my removable stitch markers, like probably the light bulb ones, and then I can just put a light bulb stitch marker and group them off. And I think that will work, I think. So the next thing I am going to show you is some knitting, and I have some Colorwork knitting here. Now, I have been utilizing this book very heavily. This is the Doodle Dictionary by Jamie Lomax, and I'm sure that you guys have, there's a lot of you out there that have this book. I love this book. I love the Doodle Decks. I have a couple other stitch dictionaries too. I don't know if they're in my bag, but let me show you the yarn that I am using first. So I am using some Fiber Optics yarn, and this is one of their gradient packs or their color packs. And what happened with this is I basically took the lightest color and well, I guess I took the darkest color, right? Because you start in the middle, and then just wound it to the lighter side. And I started from the outside because I am making a sweater for my daughter, and she wants the Colorwork to be the lightest to go down to the darkest. Now, I don't know how much yarn I'm actually going to use from here, but I figure if I get even just the lightest and then start working in for some of the pink, that she'll be super happy. So, and I definitely have use for pink yarn, so it will be okay. Now, I don't know if I said this, but this is Fiber Optics yarn. We went to their store in Ohio when I was recently on vacation there, and they have a beautiful store. So if you're ever in Ohio, I definitely recommend going to their store, because when you walk in, there's, how to describe it? So if you walk into a store and you just see beautiful yarn, like in just rainbow, and it's so pretty, and I love going there, and every time we go there, it's just like a visual treat. So this is the gray color that she picked out for the background of her sweater. And like I said, this was her color pack. And I did this with both of my kids because I wanted to make Christmas sweaters for them. And I wanted to use the Strange Brew pattern combined with all of these stitch dictionaries that I have. So this is what I have right now. And if you aren't familiar with the Strange Brew, it is a circular yoke, and I'm holding it upside down. So I have some hearts there. I've got a little parakeet that came from the cat doodle deck. And then she picked out this border. So I've been separating the motifs with this border, and I am just now starting on some paw prints. And those are also from the cat doodle deck. And after this, I am going to have to ask her basically what she wants next. Now, I don't know if you guys have done a lot of circular yoke sweaters, so I figured I would show this to you just in case you haven't ever experienced it. I remember when I was a beginner crocheter and I had no clue how sweaters were constructed. And I remember working on, what was it? It was a Doris Chan pattern. And all of my crocheters, if you know her, thumbs up. I used to love working her patterns, and I really believe that she was the first designer who ever really taught me to understand what I was doing with sweaters. And once I managed to work one of her tops. I felt so proud of myself. But anyways, I finally understood how working a sweater worked and the difference between like a circular yoke. So this is a circular yoke and this would be the neck. And with this, the increases are basically split equally around the whole body. Now, if I was working a raglan, it would increase right here and here it would increase on both sides of this, like if there was an imaginary line, and it would do the same down here and down here and down here, and it would kind of look more like a square. And I can't really show you because this isn't a raglan, but I think that it's very cool to kind of see. And then once it gets big enough, you fold it in half and you leave these stitches right here. That would be your sleeve stitches. And then you basically join right there. And I'm sure you guys have made sweaters, but just in case somebody out there has never made a sweater before and was just curious about seeing it, I just wanted to show you because I kind of have my sweater right now in a really good visual place. And I did it like this because I'm keeping my neck stitches on hold for right now. I don't know what I'm doing with them yet. They're just chilling out. And I wanted to use a big cord for this sweater, for the color work, because I want to make sure I have enough that I'm not pulling my floats very tight or anything like that. And here, let me kind of unwrap this and I'll show you my floats. So they're nothing to write home about, but they're not very, I don't know. I don't find them interesting, but I know that some people like to see them. I'm not catching anything because there's not really very long floats, except for maybe this row. I kind of regret not catching it, but I know that I can also go later on and catch them kind of in an afterthought way. I've seen it done before where you could slip stitch with a crochet hook on the back, so that's an option. But anyways, this is where I am so far. I am going to be finishing this little paw right here, and then that will be, I believe, the next part where I increase. And I can't remember if it's the third increase or the fourth, but it's one of them. I'll probably put it on the screen because I hate giving the wrong information, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I forget things. Let me show you one of the other books that I have been using. Actually, two of them. So this is Knitivation Stitch Dictionary, and I love this book. It's by Andrea Rangel, and she has done some patterns. She has done a cat yoke pullover pattern, and just a bunch of color work stuff. So this is got really cool motifs in it. And I can't show you them because the charts are there. So here, do this. You cannot see the charts, but you can kind of see the way it's supposed to look. Trying not to bend my book here. I could have just showed you guys that. That makes it a lot easier. But this is one of the books I'm using, and then the other book I am using is this one. Alternate Rebellion by Anna Bauer. And it's the same kind of idea. You have a bunch of different charts. And I'll show you a picture of one of the beanies. And these are kind of different charts, so I really did like them. They've got like skulls and peace signs and all sorts of things, cherries. So whenever I get to my son's, I'm sure he'll find some in here that he really likes. Like, let me show you this. Oops. Just different different charts and very unique and interesting. So I really do like that one. But I mean, that's where I am at for my daughter's pullover. It is, so we're at the end of September. I've got September, October, November, December. So 4 months to finish both his and her sweater and the one I wanted to make my husband and myself. I don't know if my husband is getting one. I don't know. And the reason I don't know, it's not that he won't get one. I don't know if it'll be done for Christmas. And if it were a Colorwork sweater, and when I say Colorwork, I mean a stranded Colorwork sweater, it would be fine. But his he wants is intarsia. So that's a whole new apple cart. And I have not done intarsia before, at least not to the scope of a sweater. So we'll have to see. Now, this sweater that I am showing you is the sock arm cardigans. Yes, the sock arms cardigan sweater. And this is a pattern that is in Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. That is like my favorite book of all time. I love that book. It is so happy and so, like, every time I look through that book, I say, ooh, look, another thing I want to knit. So this is, no, I can't say that. This is not the first thing I've knit myself. I've done a bunch of Bright Axis tees. And in fact, one of them is in Halloween colors. So I will be wearing it soon because, believe it or not, it's going to be Halloween here anytime. I'm trying to unwrap all this yarn that's managed to... Well, let me explain what I've done, and that will explain why I have so many strands of yarn coming out of everywhere. So my goal for last week was to finish the ribbing. I don't know if I had the ribbing cast on. I'm sure I did. But what I wanted to do was finish the ribbing and either pick up for the button band or start the sleeves. So I started the sleeves, and I actually started both sleeves. So that is why you see the yarn that is all tangled up, and I am trying to untangle it while talking to you. But okay, there we go. Let me show you. Really? Okay, we're gonna ignore that. Let me show you the kind of the graph that I've done. So I looked at my stitch count, and for the chart, it is, the charts that I want to use for the sleeves are 54 rows. And the importance of that is that I need to know when to start the sleeves. I guess I should start at the beginning for new people. So I am taking the sock arms cardigan, and I am putting, so here's the cardigan. This is what I have so far. I am going to take it and put Colorwork sock pattern down the sleeves. Now, the Colorwork sock pattern that I have is 54 rows. I worked it out to be 6 3/4 inches of sleeve. So I figured out that I need a sleeve length of around 18 inches. So I have some like plain colored knitting to do before I start the color work. So that's what I was trying to do. Now I did the short rows on both sides, and now I'm kind of working with this needle to get some length for the sleeves. And I will start knitting. I will knit about 8 3/4 inches of plain sleeve around there, and then start the chart, and hopefully that should leave me about 3 inches of ribbing at the end. But I kind of want to have longer ribbing than I do on the body on my sleeves and kind of bring it in more, but I don't know. So we're going to work and try on as we go and just see what happens. I feel like I'm going to want the chart like right here. See, right there. So I'm probably going to start it when it starts about right here on my, what muscle is that? The bicep or tricep, I guess. That part. So I don't think it's gonna work very well. You can see my stitches coming off. That's okay, it's just plain knitting. But yeah, so I would say about right there. Now, let's measure. I am making a mess. And it's gonna be so funny when my husband comes in here. He's going to see all my books on the floor. He's going to be like, what have you been doing? Oh, you know, just causing chaos. So 6 3/4 inches would be about here. Now, if I could take the chart, it would be about right here. Now, if I could take the chart, oh, but that's a good point. I do like bracelet length. Now I'm trying to stretch my pullover to see it a little bit more. So I guess I could take the chart and kind of fade it out from the bottom, but I'm gonna have to look at it and see how it goes. Okay, I gotta take this off. But that is what I've been working on with this sweater, well, not sweater, with this cardigan lately. I've done the short row shaping on the sleeves, and I just now kind of have to work round and around until I get to the length that I want. And this is going to be the Zelda sock color, obviously. By the way, I am using Socks of a Hero, so I'll put up a picture of what the socks look like, and this will be the link side. So both of these all 3 of these colors are from Blackbird Sycamore yarn. We've got Very Violet, and then Scrivener, I hope that's how you say it, and then Number 1 Black is the main color. So this, and I've said this before, is going to be kind of a work in progress. I'm not sure what I am doing, but I am perfectly fine with ripping it out. So it is what it is. Let's see. I printed out some things to talk about, and I guess one of the first things I'm gonna say is that when I was going through like knit alongs and crochet alongs, I noticed this All About Lace one, and they had picked 2 different patterns, and I wanted to show you a pattern, and then I'll give you a link to the crochet/knit along if you guys want to join in. So this is called the Thalassa top, and this is by I Need It Crochet, and this is done in fingering weight, and I really think that this is cute. I don't know if I've shown this to you guys before. I feel like maybe I have, but that's just because I like the top, and I ran across the, oh sorry, I don't mean to shake. I ran across the knit and crochet along and just really wanted to share it. So this is done in fingering weight. It says, like most fiber artists, I love visiting my little local yarn store. And then they're talking about the yarn that they picked up from their yarn store. And it says they knew that this would be like the best way to showcase the yarn they picked up. So the sizes available are from extra small to 5X. That's a great size range. It's 800 to 1600 yards, and a free version of this is available. So you can pay for it, but you can also kind of try it out and see what you think, and see if it's something that you make before you, something that you'll want to make before you pay for it. I thought that was really cute. So I showed you the info for the pattern, but here's the info for the knit along that I wanted to share. Okay, now let me show you some other patterns that I found, if I can manage to kind of get my paper straight. Okay, so this is the Purr-fect socks. And with all of the Colorwork stuff that I am doing, I just love the colors on these socks, but I don't make socks, which is a sad thing. But I don't make socks not because of a reason that means I don't like them. I am paraplegic and I can't feel a lot of like my feet, so I'm very scared to wear knitted socks, and that's the only reason. And my kids aren't at an age to where they've been asking for them yet, so I will get there eventually, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, I really like these socks, and they're by Stone Knits, and this pattern is in a book, and I wanted to show you the book as well because I thought the book had a lot of really cool patterns in it. So it is called Joyful Colorwork Socks, 25 New Knitting Patterns for Fun and Whimsical Footwear. Now, I've never seen this book, but I really liked the charts for these socks. So this would be a book I could pick up just for the charts to transfer them to other things. And the thing that really stuck out for me when I saw the socks was, oh, I would love to turn those socks into hats, because I have a bunch of cat lovers in my life and I am a cat lover. So I would definitely wear a hat that looked like those socks. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope it does because I'm being silly. So this is the Woody tank, and I thought that this was a really cute tank top, and it has a bunch of different stitch patterns on it, which really stuck out to me. So this is by Rita Dowd, and it's fingering, and so it's 2 fingering weight yarns held together, but it's at a worsted gauge, so you could just use worsted weight yarn. And the sizes, there's 9 sizes available, and it's 1,000 to around 3,000 yards. But keep in mind, this pattern is using yarn held together, yarn held double. So if you use worsted weight yarn, you'd need less. It says the Woody tank is a form-fitting tank top featuring a combination of 2x2 ribbing and horizontal ribbing. It begins at the back of the neck with drop shoulder construction. A chart is followed to increase the width of the shoulders and then worked back and forth to shape the back of the armholes. The front chest panels are picked up from each shoulder and worked individually until the neckline is shaped and joined. The front chest panel is worked back and forth to shape the front of the armholes, the same as the back. Once completed, the front and the back are joined and worked in the round until the length is completed. So if you look at this, this has a drop shoulder construction. So if you aren't crazy about tank tops, because I'm not a big tank top person, I don't like my arms. It's a me thing. I have weird issues with my arms, so I do not like them. But I would definitely take this pattern and work a shoulder cap on it, like a little cute cap sleeve. I think that would be really cute. And it sounds like the patterns are just like a combination of horizontal and vertical ribbing, which would be really easy to work like the short rows with and just do a small little sleeve cap. But I thought that that was cute and I wanted to share it. So what else do I have here? Because I know I grabbed, oh, I see. I grabbed a Stephen West pattern and I'm sharing pictures of this pattern. And I know what pictures I took of this pattern because it's Stephen West, so he does a lot of samples for his shawls. But I saw this, and the reason this spoke to me is because the sample is in neon colors, and I love it. I believe they're neon pink and yellow, which, like, screams to me because if I were to do this shawl, I would want to do it in neon pink and yellow. I bet because it's a Stephen West pattern and because he's got Stephen and Penelope, I bet you could recreate this exact shawl pretty easily just because he's got like pre-made kits and stuff. So this pattern is called the Bubbly Blossom Shawl, and I guess I should have led with that. I don't remember if I did or not. Okay, we'll just pretend I did. It's fingering weight yarn, and the gauge is 24 stitches and 48 rows. But it's a shawl, so there's some leeway there, especially if it's bigger. Although if it's smaller, you might want to pay attention. I've heard a lot of his shawls have different sizes, and it doesn't appear that this one does. But nope. It doesn't say anything about different sizes, but a lot of his shawls you could end early if they're too big, or you could continue on if they're too small. I feel like I want one of these for my bed, and then I'll just cover up on it. By the way, if you guys watched last week, I made a cat blanket. I made it out of Hometown by Lion Brand. So it was this pink, like marled pink and purple yarn. And I took 3 skeins of Lion Brand Hometown, and I just made like a granny star out of, a granny star blanket out of it. Now I put it on our bed, and my 2 cats have basically been fighting over it all week. I have to make another one. I really do. I don't have any more Lion Brand Hometown, so I'm gonna look for a different yarn. But they love it. One will get up from it and like go to the bathroom or go grab something to eat, and the other one will come in while it's gone and like steal it. Or the younger one will like bother her brother, and not her actual brother, but you know, fur brothers. I don't know. We call our cat siblings just because they're our fur kids. We love them, and we kind of hope they tolerate each other enough to call each other like siblings. Anyways, the younger one will like poke and bother and like pounce on the bigger one if he's on the blanket to try to get him to move. And then as soon as he does, she steals it from him. So I don't know. These cats. They're crazy. Okay, I love this, and I'm gonna link you to the Lion Brand kit because I was seriously considering buying this. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with lionbrand.com, but you can basically go to Lion Brand and get kits that are already made up with different patterns, and this was one of the patterns. It's called the Echoes Pullover, and I think that the kit was like $30, and I'm like, and then I remembered, Mandy, you have enough yarn, you don't need more. Save some for everybody else. I keep telling myself that, and it's been working, so that's good. This is knit in DK weight yarn. It's 16 stitches and 8.5 rows is 4 inches. And the yardage that you need is between 1,570 and around 3,000 yards. Now it's extra small to 5X is the pattern sizes. It says, introducing the Echoes Pullover, a cozy and colorful sister design to the beloved Echoes cardigan. This pullover features the same stunning color-changing mandala yarn, creating a unique and vibrant look with every stitch. Now, this is done in lion brand mandala, and my kids have worn a lot of mandala. I actually, if you go to my Ravelry page, you will see a picture of my 2 kids when they were really, really little. And I actually have a big canvas of this picture of them hanging up. They're wearing 2 flaxes that I knit them, and those were done in mandala yarn, but I really color controlled it. And they also have long stocking caps on, and they were knit for Christmas. I think my son, I think they were like 2 and 6 there. So anyways, I don't want to put that picture of them up because I know you have to be logged in to see them on Ravelry. So, okay. The next hat that I am going to show you is Flicker and Flash Crochet Hat. And this is by Marley Bird. And I just thought that this one was cute, so I wanted to share it. This is actually a crochet hat. And the Echoes cardigan was also a crochet cardigan. So, what was I doing? So, I just completely lost my train of thought. This pattern is by Marley Bird. She's using Knit Picks Brava Sport. And it's basically just a cute crochet hat, which I am always looking for because I don't have a lot of crochet hat patterns that I call upon whenever I'm making hats. And it's always nice to be able to crochet some. This is another crochet hat, and this is another free or pay hat. This is called the Mosiac Beanie. And I think what was happening was that I was going through hat patterns and actually I was trying very hard to find different crochet hats that I could try out because I feel like I knit hats a lot and I don't have very many crochet hats. So this is by Breann Mauldin, and the paid for pattern is only $3, so that's a really good price for a hat. It says the suggested yarn is Knit Picks Brava worsted, and it barely uses any yarn. It says about 152 yards of worsted weight yarn, which isn't much. Now, there are 2 different colors, which is important to kind of remember. I wonder how she does that. I really like it. It uses worsted yarn. I have a good amount of Malabrigo, what is it? The Rios? I think that's the worsted. I have a little, well, not a good amount. I have like several one-off skeins of Rios. What I don't have a lot of is bulky. And I was thinking about this. I guess I can't say that. I have an amount of bulky, but they're specifically meant to make, what are they called? The friend-to-friend ponchos. So when you talk about hats, I don't want to just make one-off. I don't want to break up my bulky combination. So this is called the Bulky Mosiac Beanie. And this is by MJ's Off the Hook. And the reason I grabbed this pattern is because of an email that I got from Premiere. So let's talk about the pattern first. It has baby, child, adult, large adult sizes. It's knit in bulky weight yarn. And this is also crocheted, and you use a hook size of J. So a free pattern of this is also available, but the reason that this stuck out to me this week is because Premier sent me an email and they debuted a yarn. And I'm pretty sure this is a new yarn and not just new colors. And I got really excited when I saw it, and it's called it's Basic Chunky. So bigger yarn is expensive. I mean, it is, especially when it's bulky, and especially when you're looking for things like amigurumis or hats for kids. You don't want to spend a ton on yarn. And when I saw their newsletter and I saw that they came out with Premier Basic Chunky, and then I saw that it was $2.99 a skein, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I wanted to let you guys know about that because I thought that that was a good deal, especially when I'm making stuff for my kiddos. They leave stuff places and do what kids do. So they've got some nice things, but I also like making them things that I can toss in the washer. But that is the end of the knitting and crocheting. I'm just going to briefly talk about the books that I've read this week, and I have read some very good books. Okay, so if you're leaving now, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope to see you next week. If you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Okay, for my books, because I have been on a Lisa Jewell kick, but I've also been reading some Charlie Donley. So let's start with Charlie Donley first. I read Summit Lake, and this book is about a woman who's in law school and she gets killed, and it's it's a brutal murder, and nobody knows what happened to her, and she's at a small town visiting at her family's like vacation house, and the small town like police sheriff gets pushed out by like law enforcement from other places, and a reporter gets sent there, and she starts digging and realizes that this woman is pregnant and that she's married secretly. And it's basically a book about like unraveling her life and what happens in it. It was pretty good. The other Charlie Donley book that I read was called Long Time Gone. And this was interesting. So it's about a woman who's training to be a medical examiner, and she's in med school. I think that's where she is. Or at least that's the part of the journey that she's in. And she gets a thesis topic, and it is on, what is it on? Forensic genealogy. So she meets with this person that knows a lot about genealogy, and he recommends doing one of those tests, like the 23andMe tests, where they take a spit swab and then you find your relatives from wherever. Well, she's kind of hesitant because she's adopted, but he talks her into it, and then they basically find out that she is this missing baby who her and her parents like disappeared so many years ago, and it walks you through that and how it looks and what happened to her parents, and that's basically what happens in the book. So those were the two Charlie Donley books that I read. The two Lisa Jewell books that I read, and I don't know if you guys have ever read Lisa Jewell, but if you haven't and you like Frida McFadden, like the thrillers, the books where you're listening, there's this huge narrative and it's building up to this point, and then the end happens, and then during the ending, something else happens and it comes out of nowhere. I feel like I did a terrible job of explaining that, but it's very climactic at the end. How's that? So the first one that I read was The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. And this is about I guess it's about a teenage couple. And they have a baby very young, but the daughter is going back to school, and her boyfriend is kind of not in the picture in the beginning and then comes in the picture, and basically they go out one night and they both disappear, like gone, just off the face of the earth. Nobody can really find them. They find out that they went to this one person's house, and she's like, yeah, they left around 3 a.m. I haven't seen them since. Nobody can figure out, like, there's no record of any taxi coming to pick them up. They're just gone. And throughout the book, you start basically peeling away layers and layers of what happened to these kids. And finally, you're at the end. And it's so fantastic. The ending is so fantastical that you're just like, wow. You're left with just this tiny piece of onion. It's very good. I like that book. Now, The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell is another book that I read. And it is about this son who inherits from his father. And he's kind of like, he wants to coast by on life on his inheritance, which is fair enough. I mean, if I inherited millions and millions of dollars, I could see doing that too. But so he wants to coast by on life. He gets married. They have 2 kids. Everything is fine until his inheritance starts, you know, disappearing, wearing down. A family moves in with them and lives upstairs. And throughout like 4-ish, 5-ish years, the man who's coasting by on his inheritance has a stroke. This other family kind of moves in and tries to usurp, like gain control, I guess, and a bunch of drama happens. A bunch of drama. That book has a lot of drama in it. In fact, it started off kind of slow. And I actually put it away to the side. And then after I started running out of books, I brought it back and I re-listened to the part I listened to. And I'm glad that I kept going, because about halfway through, I didn't want to put it down. So it got very good. There's mentions of cults almost, like these people move in, they take over this other family, they have all these rules, like you can't go outside, you have to cut down your plastic presents, each member of the family can only have like 2 things of garbage per day. It's very wild. It's really weird. And it's very good. In true Lisa Jewell fashion, it was a very good book. So if you like thrillers, I would recommend any of those. I mean, each person has books they like to read, right? And I thought that those were pretty good on my take. Okay, so I think that was it for books. With life, nothing very much has happened. We have been like slowly getting into the rhythm of school. We have been going for walks around the block, and by going for walks, I mean I've been in my wheelchair, my husband's been pushing me, my kids have been walking with us. It's been good to get outside. We're kind of in the part of the year that kind of bums me out. We're getting into winter, and it's getting into 6 months of inside. So we're hanging on to the last little bit of summer, and hopefully we'll have like 2 days of winter and it'll be spring again. At least I can hope, right? Okay, fingers crossed. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. If you are interested in entering next week's digital prize pattern giveaway, just leave a comment down below. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Bye!